Well, Nancy, you can take a look behind me. Traffic on New Circle Road right now flowing just fine. But what we want to draw your attention to is what is coming out of the sky right now. As Bill was mentioning, that's that freezing drizzle. I think you can see it best here. We pulled the ice shell off of the mirror of our news car, and you can see it kind of glistening just slightly there. That's enough to cause a lot of these roadways to get very slick. Road crews are still on their 12-hour shifts. They're doing everything they can. But tonight they are asking you to be accountable for your own safety as well, and that means taking things slow and steady. We continue tonight's LEX 18 Big Story at 11. It looks pretty, but on the roads, it's pretty dangerous.
Since the temperatures have dropped and the sun's not out, it's just freezing a lot faster.
And slick roads are a lot harder to handle the bigger your rig.
It gets a little bit nerve-wracking.
Even Anthony Olette, a truck driver from Michigan, says the trip through the bluegrass has been tricky, but he's determined to get his passengers visiting from China all the way to Florida.
Just before we got into Lexington, I noticed that the left lane was starting to get pretty icy, so obviously I had to stay further to the right.
The problem started before the sun was out of the sky. On New Circle Road, the tiniest patch of ice formed in the shade from water dripping off the Alumni Overpass caused big problems.
I hit the ice under the overpass and just lost control of the car, and that came down here and flipped over.
The guardrails had already been torn down by a truck that had the same accident just a half hour earlier.
I just didn't want to come over into oncoming traffic.
The impact was enough to split Jessica McLeod's empty car seat in the back, and almost simultaneously half a dozen other cars went spinning off the road as well.
In these conditions, you can get lulled into a sense of security or false sense of security there with the roads are just wet or the roads are clear, and then you hit one of these bridges, and when you hit that sheet of ice, it's really hard to maintain control of your vehicle. You're almost assured of going off the roadway.
That isn't in Anthony's plans. Instead, a stellar forecast.
70s actually down in Florida, so down in Orlando.
That'll require a slow and steady attitude to reach.
So I'll have to take it a little bit slower as we go.
Another thing we want to draw your attention to tonight is some slickness in a lot of the parking lots around town. You can see where I'm standing here, this blacktop. It looks like water, but it is definitely ice here. We had a little bit of trouble stopping our news vehicle, actually, as we were at dinner in one of the parking lots in the Hamburg area. So you just want to be careful even if you're going somewhere to stop for a while as well. We are covering the news live in Lexington from the LEX 18 mobile newsroom. Now send it back to you.
He calls claiming to be a lawyer, demanding money for a payday loan and threatening court and jail time. The Kentucky Attorney General's office says they suspect it's a scam. Tonight, Jackie Congedo spoke to a Montgomery County woman who got one of those calls, but did some research before getting out her checkbook. Now she has a warning for consumers everywhere. That's the LEX 18 Big Story at 11.
Hello?
Yesterday, Ruby Bush got a call that sent her into a tizzy.
And I know he had me almost physically sick last night.
The man on the other end claiming to be a California lawyer from a firm called Morgan & Associates.
He knew my name, my social security number, my date of birth, where I lived, where I worked. He knew my kids' names. So I thought, maybe this is real.
The demand was payment of nearly $500 for an online payday loan, one Ruby says she never took out.
Pretty forceful. It was almost threatening the way he would talk to you. He called me a thief. He said that I would be up on federal charges.
When she tried to ask for details,
exact words to me were, he didn't have to prove to me who he was. That his proof would be when he saw me in court face to face and he was sending me to jail.
Her suspicions led her to the computer. A quick online search for Morgan & Associates, and one after another, reports of scams filled pages. That's when Ruby called us. And that's when we called the Attorney General's office. They say they've gotten dozens of complaints like this one from across the state, and they advise consumers not to send these folks money. But since the caller left his number on Ruby's voicemail,
Hi, have I reached Morgan & Associates?
We checked to see what he had to say.
This is a law firm, okay?
He even said he'd welcome a call from Kentucky's Attorney General himself. In the meantime, Ruby isn't writing him any checks, but she says she does hope to see him in court.
Because I would love to see him get prosecuted for what he's doing.
Covering the news in Montgomery County, Jackie Congedo, LEX 18 News.
LEX 18's Jackie Congedo takes a look at a company that is synonymous with world-class equine transportation. And yes, the clients are indeed world-class athletes. Jackie?
Thanks, Kenny. Well, each spring, people come from far and wide here to Keeneland, and so do the horses they come to watch. But before hooves can fly across the finish line, many need a pair of wings to get here. At Lexington's Bluegrass Airport,
hopefully everybody's here.
The prep process is in full swing for a high-profile arrival.
We check everybody that goes in and out. How you doing, buddy?
Security is tight. A plane full of world-class athletes is on its way.
Right now, we're just waiting for the plane to get here, and as soon as they do, we'll have lots of action.
Game time as the jet cruises in. The stars on this plane don't like to wait. They demand snappy, professional service.
You're not going to see LeBron James riding in coach class on Southwest. Same thing here.
You could call him the head steward on this flight. Mike Payne is his name. Flying horses is his game.
You can tell if someone's paying attention to you because when they ask you what you do for a living and they say, well, I fly horses. And they're like, wow, what? Or they say, oh, well, that's nice, and they turn their head. Well, you can tell they didn't pay any attention to you. And then they'll come back and say, what did you say again? Or what did you say you did again?
He and his crew at Tech Sutton Forwarding Company have the routine down.
We're the largest carrier of horses by air in the United States.
Today's flight is full, 20 horses all the way from Ontario, California. 18 will race at Keeneland.
These horses basically went from Santa Anita and Hollywood Park to Keeneland and Churchill Downs in about a 6-hour window, stall to stall.
It's fast when compared to a 3-day drive, and included in the airfare is a complimentary in-flight snack.
Keeps them occupied. It's more of a pastime to munch on the hay.
The goal is to keep all passengers pacified.
Horses are never polite, so if you upset them, they immediately, they start whinnying and screaming and stomping their feet, and the whole airplane shakes.
Captain Eric Lund is well aware the cargo he's carrying can sometimes be worth 100 times the value of the plane itself.
I've had as much as $250, $300 million worth of horses on a $3 million airplane.
That means it's his job to keep it boring.
The turbulence is bad enough, or things are going to be too rough, we just send them back to the barn. Go a different day.
Hardy, Philly!
One by one, the trip down the ramp and directly into the trailer is fast and orderly.
We need this one over here and that one back there.
Because when one goes, his neighbors like to follow.
Because their buddy has gone, they think they need to go too.
That's not to say there isn't room for a little horsing around.
Yeah, we like to keep it fun, and there's a lot of camaraderie in it.
And after all the celebs are loaded in their limos and the plane is, well, serviced, this crew will load up and take to the skies again.
Today we're just moving horses. It's a barn with wings on it.
And even after the last race is run here, the need for equine air transport remains. The guys over at Tech Sutton tell us they fly horses 250 days a year. I'm Jackie Congedo for Keeneland Close Up.